All right, there we go. Okay, let me go back for just a second. All right, so welcome everyone. This is the PTA Power Up, Level Up Your Leadership Training. This is specifically for incoming and returning board members. So again, welcome everybody to today's session. I'm going to be presenting alongside with Amy Jennings. She's our VP1 for this upcoming year, and Yadi Soto, my VP2. So you have the top leadership for the county that's going to be walking you through the presentation for today. So with that being said, introductions. My name's Stephen Young. For those of you that don't know me, this will be my second year as president for Seminole County Council PTA. I'm right now currently a member of Goldsboro Elementary PTA. Both of my kids attend school there. I was the former PTA president for the school. I'm also the All Pro Dads chapter lead at Goldsboro. Uh, Professional life, I'm a real estate investor and coach, so I do a lot of these sessions teaching and educating people on a daily basis. And some fun things about me, personal life, I love basketball, so if any of you want to talk basketball or want to play by any chance, I'm down for that. And my biggest title that I take a lot of pride in is I'm a full-time dad. So being there for my kids, participating in their school activities, that's really something that I really find very valuable and honored to have that title. So with that, I'll pass it on to Amy to introduce herself a little bit, and then we'll have Yadi.
Perfect. Thanks, Stephen. Yes, this is my third year as an officer. This past year, I have been treasurer. The year prior, I was secretary. And this is actually my fourth year on the board. Way back in 20 something, 21, I was the media chair. So I really enjoy serving at the county level. My background is corporate HR and specifically organizational development. So similar to Stephen, I spend a lot of my professional life on calls like this, helping leaders in the corporate environment develop leadership skills and recruit the next future of leaders. And I'm really excited to get to do that with PTA because I think parents are the leaders for our children and in our families. And then we can certainly extend that to our school families. So that is my passion. My local units, both of my boys will be at Crooms Academy of Information Technology that is located in Sanford. I will be their president this coming year. And I've been on their board. It's my third year on the Crooms board. Prior to that, I served multiple years as president at Sanford Middle School. So go Sanford. And my children went to elementary school in Lake Mary. So I live in the Lake Mary area. Personally, I'm a swimmer. I love to swim. I am a huge fan of coffee. So if you ever need me, just ask to meet me at Starbucks and I'll be there. And I am a mom of two teenage boys. I have begun one of them is almost done getting their license, so that's been fun. So if anyone is about to enter that period of teaching their children to drive, I'm there for you. Yadi.
Good morning. Hi, everyone. Okay, there we go. So just, I'll make a quick correction. I have never attended Winter Springs, so that should be Haggerty PTSA, but it's okay. This is my third year on the Seminole County Council. I started off as the sponsors chair, and last year I was VP2, and this year again, I'm your VP2. Like I said, I am going to be the secretary at Haggerty High School. I am currently also on the board at Lawton Childs Middle School, and next year I will be VP. And with my very big heart, it will always be at Carillon Elementary, which I served on that board for many, many years. And yeah, my history is in early childhood education. I love event planning. I do marketing. My passion and my heart in this community is to serve and to be there for all of you. I have had the honor and the privilege to meet many of you and talk with you through text, through phone calls, and that is where my heart is. And my passion is to do that for each and every one of you. And my personal favorites are culinary arts. A little secret, I went to culinary school. I love cooking. I love baking. It's my favorite happy place to be is in the kitchen. And my three favorite people are my husband and my two kids. My daughter is in high school, my son is in middle school, and I'm a big band mom.
Beautiful. Thank you for those introductions, Amy and Yadi. Appreciate that. All right. So moving on here. Let's see. Okay. All right, so I always love to start each of our trainings, any of our general meetings with focusing on the mission, right? What are we here for? Why are we here? Why do we do what we do? Why are we so passionate? Well, here it is. To make every child's potential a reality by engaging and empowering families and communities to advocate for all children. So with that being said, let that guide you, right? As you're making decisions as a team, as you're building your team together, as questions come up, have this on the forefront of your mind. And I actually recommend that you all put this on each one of your agendas in every meeting that you all start. Just have it up there, right? Even for people who aren't familiar with the PTA, what's the point? Here it is. There's the mission. Okay, so objectives for today, we want you to get comfortable in creating a great board and build your PTA priorities and plans for next year. So how do we get there? This is how we're going to do it. First and foremost, we're going to talk about assembling your league, right? Understand structure and responsibilities of your PTA executive committee, your board of directors, and membership. So I'll walk you through that. We'll then have a mission briefing where you're going to understand how to create your vision for your PTA. Amy's going to walk us through that. And then last but not least, launching into action. You're going to establish a blueprint to launch your PTA into the next school year. So before I move forward, one thing I want to kind of add here and make clear is that the theme for this year, going into the next school year, it's everyday heroes. So while you're seeing all the heroes and assembling leagues, you guys are everyday heroes. Not everybody wears a cape, but recognize that you all are leaders, lifesavers in a lot of cases. And as Leslie talked about, you all have a superpower that's within you. So that's the theme. Just want you all to understand that's, why we're so heavily focused on that theme this year, because you all are heroes, not just the people you see in the movie theaters, okay? Or in the comic books. All right. So one of the things that a lot of you are going to be facing is transitioning. What are those responsibilities? What do they look like? So in red there, the thing I really want everyone to focus on is listening and developing. All right. Again, planning for your future leadership. There's opportunities right now where you can start to talk to people that you've been working with throughout the year. Maybe there's a parent you've noticed that's been showing up, right? Start to think, where can they fit into the mold for maybe a specific position that will be needed for the upcoming school year. Collaborate. This is a huge one, right? For those of you that are leaving your positions, and for some of you that are going to be onboarding into a new position, meet with the previous president and officers, right? Talk about the past successes, talk about the past challenges. Communication is going to be crucial to have a really good, successful handoff. And one of the things I talk about when needing help and assistance is be vulnerable, right? For those that have been in position of leadership, tell people, say, hey, here's where I struggled. Here's maybe where I fell short. Let that person know so that they have opportunities to see if there's ways to build and make things better moving forward. So don't be afraid to have those meetings and have those discussions. Engage with the school community. So Amy, I believe, talked about that a little bit. So again, meet with your principal. I cannot say that enough. Meet with the principal, meet with the staff, understand what their goals are, understand what they're looking to do within the next school year, and see if there's an opportunity for you as a PTA to come in and support, right, in that capacity, as opposed to having your own agenda, you still may be able to get the things that you want to do, but make sure that they align with what the school is looking to do. And overall, it'll just be a much better relationship, right? Less friction as you move forward. So assembling your league, okay? Let's talk a little bit about the structure of our association. So at the bottom of the tier is all the members, all right? These are all the members of your PTA. That's why you see here it's a pyramid structure. Hopefully the next slides work here, but it's a base, right? This is the foundation of your PTA. They attend your meetings, they vote to adopt the budget, they vote for your bylaws every 3 years, right? They help elect the nominating committee and they elect your officers. So very, very important to remember that, the PTA is made up of members and made up of people. All right, it works. There we go. Secondly, board of directors, okay? These are the folks that are going to meet monthly, right? Fill vacancies. These are all your elected officers, committee chairs, administrators, whatever other individuals you have listed within your bylaws, those are going to be your board of directors. So they're the tier above that help to make decisions for the association. And at the top tier, some of you are part of this, the executive committee. Okay, these are all your elected officers. They help the president accomplish the goals and appoint standing rules and make recommendations to the board. So they're really at the top, but you can see they're the smallest part of the triangle. As a whole, the association is what holds all those things up together. So it's very important to remember that we're there to support the association, not ourselves. Okay, so here's a little bit more of a breakdown of your responsibilities as an executive committee and as a board of directors. You can see there on screen, executive committee. Again, you help select the committee chairs, set the calendar, establish guidelines based on your plans of work, really take in and digest the kit materials, and ensure financial compliance. So really important things to keep in mind as you all are the leadership for the PTA, for your local unit. Board of directors. This is a lot of fun, and you definitely need your board of directors. There's some committees, as you can see there on screen, such as membership, legislative, health and wellness, reflection. So whatever committees that you have within your local unit, this is where you'll have individuals who will help to manage and run the work that's going to be carried out through the PTA, whatever the agenda is, and through some of the committees that are going to be created. So another thing to note here that you can see on screen, you can have special committees. So for your carnivals, maybe for Teacher Appreciation Week, you can have special committees that specifically focus and work on ensuring that those events get done. So a lot of flexibility within your local units. And so don't think that once you have a position, you're just specifically stuck to that position. It can be molded into what you all need as a local unit and what your school needs are. Okay. 501c3 status. We wanted to have this up as a slide just to, again, understand that local units are nonprofits, also known as 501c3 organizations. Per the IRS, we must file the 990 form every year. So you will see from us and from Florida PTA that 990 form needs to be filled out. It's so that you can maintain that nonprofit status. And so be on the lookout for that coming up. And if you need assistance, of course, we'll help you get those forms filled out. The PTA must be organized and operated exclusively for charitable, educational, or scientific purposes, as the mission is defined in the bylaws. So again, understanding that mission is paramount, crucial to why we exist, right? And why we do what we do. PTA's resources and funds cannot be used for the private benefit of an individual. That also includes a school. So, I'll allow the treasurer at the appropriate time during the breakout sessions to really dig into that. But just know that the PTA's funds are for the PTA and nothing else. PTA cannot engage in any political activity. So let me break that down a little bit. So The PTA cannot engage in any political activity. The IRS considers that political activity as working for or against a candidate for public office at any level. Associations that are classified as 501c3 are forbidden to support or campaign against candidates for a public office. So we are nonpartisan. Uh, if if there is a situation where there may be an opportunity for any political candidates to have an opportunity to speak, you need to have both sides speak, right? So we are nonpartisan, and as stated, we do not support any specific candidate, whatever side that they may be on. Okay, we're completely neutral. And then last but not least, PTA can only engage in substantial amount of lobbying activity. Okay, so we're encouraged to advocate on behalf of the needs of their PTAs and their members. So that's basically, primarily it there. We want to be lobbying and advocating for things that are specific to the PTA's mission, core mission and goals. And again, you can always go to Florida PTA or pta.org to see what our stances are on specific aspects of things that relate to students' health and education. Okay. So that's the breakdown of our 501c3 status. Okay, so let's jump into some specific duties that we all have. Presidential duties, and you can just see there on screen. I'm not going to go through all of them, but key roles and responsibilities, leadership development, communication and information sharing. Presidents, you all are the leaders, right? You're the face of the school for your local unit. People are looking to you. And so one of the things that I think has served me well, and I think will serve all of us well, is just having really good communication. I'm a big proponent for listening, having open and effective communication. One of the presentations I give, we talk about don't sugarcoat anything. And that's simply just being honest, being truthful. And sometimes it hurts to tell the truth, but hey, unless we know what's going on, we can't proceed to move forward if we don't understand the situation. And another thing with that is, don't take it personal. The problem is the problem. So let's focus on that and then find ways to come to solutions. Okay. And so another thing here, just to note, so I'd get off my soapbox about it, is you can see here on screen, we have also referenced the kit of materials. Okay, so it's down here at the bottom. The kit of materials is a wealth of knowledge. Definitely do some light reading during the summer and anytime really if you can, but you can see there, this is where the information came from, specifically the section, officers section, and the page numbers are listed below as well. So you all got this, and we'll talk more during the breakout session, but again, communication is paramount, and being open and listening, even if you disagree with what's being said, just listening will serve you very, very well. Okay. All right, my VPs, you see there in red, y'all got my back, right? You got each other's backs. VPs, your primary role is to aid the president. Again, help lead the PTA towards specific goals, perform presidential duties in our absence, preparation and organization. You saw great examples today from my two VPs. I know that if anything, where I need assistance or I'm not able to be somewhere, they could pick up the ball and basically be a president themselves, right? They have all the qualities of leadership. They are also doing a lot of the networking and development that the president would do. And so, VPs, all of you that are VPs on here, are instrumental role players into the success of your local units as well. And so you'll see and notice here that a lot of the duties of a vice president are very much the same duties as a president. It's just you guys kind of work behind the scenes and ensuring that things operate as smoothly as they need to. Okay, secretary duties. You keep us organized. You help prepare the agendas, collect records, maintain board contact information. Meeting minutes and organization is crucial. Someone once told me if you didn't have it documented, right, with your minutes, it didn't happen. So it's very important that you take those specific minutes, take the time to do it. You will be amazed when you go back and say, well, what were we talking about? Why did we vote on that? It's going to really help you all maintain organization, have clear, understanding of why decisions were made, and then again, where you want to potentially move forward. Having that history is really helpful in moving forward in your local unit. So, secretary duties, thank you all. Please try to be as detailed and accurate as possible because it does matter. It does make a difference. Okay. Okay. Treasurer duties. For this one's pretty funny. Every treasurer that I've had the opportunity to work with, they've always joked with me and said that, hey, I'm just trying to keep you out of jail, right? So, with that being said, it's so important that we, manage the money appropriately, right? It's very important that we fall in line with our budgets, right? That were approved by the general membership. It's very important that we only spend money that is authorized to be used, right, per our budgets. And so, uh, again, the treasurer role at times may not seem like it's a lot of fun, but it's a crucial piece of the puzzle to allow a PTA to function. Okay. And so, as you come into that role, again, make sure that you are focused, a detail-oriented person. Always follow, through with, what's been budgeted and approved by the general membership, and you'll be fine. You'll be okay. But again, with that, we're here to support as always, if you all need that. And in the kit of materials, once again, the kit of materials has a great section where it breaks down some of the duties. So if you ever have any questions as it relates to that, you can always refer to that documentation as well. Okay, so this is new. We want to make sure that you all are aware that the submission of the new and returning officers form has been moved to givebacks. Within givebacks, and I don't know if Amy or Yadi, if you can put this website in the chat for everyone. But this is, as you can see here on screen, it's on the Florida PTA website. If you go to hit the green button here, new and returning officers, it'll pop up with this page and it'll give you step-by-step instructions on how to update the new officers for the year into givebacks. So it's actually, I know it may seem like, well, why are we doing this? It's actually pretty smart. Rather than filling out an outside form that then has to be transitioned into givebacks, you're putting the data directly into givebacks. So that saves everybody time, efficiency, and it's quite simple to do. So there's an instructional video on how to do that within the website. Take a look at it. Even if you're not at the point where you're prepared to do that, it'll just get you prepped and ready for when you need to enter in that information. And that information is going to be key. So again, part of being the 501c3, we need that information, right? All of your president information, VP, secretary, treasurer, principal, we need that as part of our 501c3 distinction. And so it's very important that you insert that information as soon as you have those new officers coming in. One other thing I want to note on this as well is the deadline is June 15th. So this information needs to be inputted into givebacks by June 15th. Okay. Okay. So some of the board chair duties, again, identifying needs, right? I absolutely love this. What programs are significant for your school and community? Again, this is with a meeting with the principal, teachers, and staff. As you're going to campus these last few days, have the conversation, right? Say, hey, how did this school year go? What were some things that you'd like to see different? Where do you think the PTA can help? Now, again, that's not making a promise. That's just having a conversation, right? And then giving yourself, your local unit, opportunities to see where you all may have the opportunity to help, right? Maybe that's something you can think about as you're planning for your calendar, looking at your budgets, right? Maybe working with other community leaders. How can we really support the kids and the families at the schools that we're going to be volunteering for? Again, remember the mission. Absolutely love that. Assist parents in advocating and developing skills required to raise, protect, and prepare their children. Identify and present programs that will assist parents in their progress. So again, I think Karen talked a little bit about it. The example of the Title I school at Bentley having an ice cream night, right? That gets people out. It's a lot of fun. And then while you're there, talk to parents, right? Tell them about the PTA. Tell them how they can get involved. And then remembering the mission will be, paramount. Realistic goals, love this one. Again, you can't do it all. You know, do what you can do. There may be years where you can't put on that carnival, right? But what else can you do? Maybe we can have a reading night where families come out and read, and that's okay, right? Because again, what are we doing this for? We're doing it for the mission of the PTA, right? Advocating for all kids. Okay. Making sure they feel supported, not necessarily making sure a carnival happens every single year. All right. And again, low cost resources. So again, looking at your budgets, leveraging communication with, you know, other community leaders and businesses. There may be opportunities to have programs come in that cost little to nothing to parents. And that again helps build and grow your school. Okay. And here's an example of kind of what a board can look like. I think this is actually crooms. So I see you managed to sneak crooms in here, Amy. But this is yeah, she's like, what? But this is just an example, right, of the types of structures that you can have in place. Again, whatever your school needs are, this could look different. But this is definitely an exercise that you want to go through and again, understanding, kind of the hierarchy and what some of the needs are that you'd like to have for your school. And some of these could change. Some of these, may take a little while to fill. But again, understanding how you guys can best support your school is, really what we're trying to get you all to think about and focus on as you're starting to come together and meet with your leadership and put that together. Okay, so with that, I'm going to now hand it off to Amy. Do you want to share or do you want me still to share the screen?
No, you can drive. Actually,
Okay,
can you go back to the previous slide for a second?
yeah.
So, this is a nice segue into we're going to talk about our mission briefing and something I try to encourage with units. As you can see here, each of the officers is the mentor to a couple chairs. In this example, we each had 4. And the reasoning behind that is that way, the president isn't a stopgap. It's kind of hard if all 12 chairs can only talk to the president about making a decision. So the concept is to really authorize, deputize the officers so that they can kind of have their own sub teams. As we'll talk about in a minute, officers, if you've never really met each other, you're about to meet your best friends. Because the officers are going to work together to make sure that all of your chairs have what they need to run a great year. And so I would propose having this structure where, typically, the president kind of has that principal or admin rep and the teacher rep. But when it comes to other chairs, all the other officers are very capable, involved, passionate adults. So they can absolutely mentor, help their chairs make decisions. And that'll just help keep you guys rocking and rolling. At the county level, we joked this year, we had team treasurer. And for those of you who went to mascot games, that only happened because of Team Treasure. It took me and all of the chairs to make that event happen. So something for you guys to consider. Okay, back to our regularly scheduled program. Mission briefing. Let's go. So the first thing that should be happening is with your newly elected officers. So once you are elected, this is your president, VPs, secretary, and treasurer. You need to get together and meet as your new executive committee. Okay, this is completely separate from the current year. And it's where you are going to get to start forming the nucleus of heading forward for next year. So as soon as the new EC has their first meeting, new secretary starts taking the minutes. Okay. And some things that y'all need to decide as officers is you need to determine who your bank signers are going to be. This is also from the kit of materials. Each unit needs to have 3 bank signers. Those are the folks who can sign checks. Those are the folks authorized to sign off on all of the forms and documentation when your chairs are going to spend the money. Okay, it's typically the treasurer. It's often the president and typically a third officer. Within that role, some units also utilize debit cards. You can have up to 2 debit cards, and those would also belong to one of the bank signers. So then the next thing you're going to do is you are going to talk about your chairs and probably first the chair structure for the year. You all are going to maybe look at any survey data you have. Stephen talked about just having conversations about how things went this year. You may keep the same chairs and committees forever, and that's cool. And if you think to yourselves, wow, it'd be really great if we could focus on this type of event next year or have more of a partnership with this area of the school, it is 100% within the officer's purview to consider different chairs, or maybe not having a certain chair next year. If you felt like that chair really didn't have a lot to do, things change, and that's okay too. So once you know which chairs you need, then you can go about identifying who might fill the chair roles. And sometimes nominating committees, when they put out the interest form, will include the chair roles as well. So many times the officers will have that information of who was interested or who was recommended passed down to them from their nominating committee. Oftentimes, whether you do or don't have that, you may need to reopen a chair interest form. You know, if you add a new chair, or just to be very inclusive of inviting the general membership to consider joining the board with you. That's what those chairs and committees are about. And if anybody needs an example of a Google form, you can reach out to us at county. I'm happy to share some of my former units' interest Google forms if you need an example. The way chairs are put in position is the executive committee, the officers, they vote to appoint the chairs. So that's how that happens. Once they're voted in, then you as an executive committee decides who's going to contact which chair to officially invite them to accept the role. That's where that structure can come in real handy. So instead of a president, you need to contact 9 people. Each officer contacts 3, and they can introduce themselves as their mentor for the year. After you've talked about your chairs, you need to review your standing rules. Now, Stephen mentioned bylaws, okay? Bylaws are governing documents, mostly prescribed by Florida PTA and reviewed every 3 years by the entire membership. Your standing rules are more operational procedures that are reviewed each year by the board. Most units have them. They can be very simple. You want to make sure, if you have multiple VPs, you want to make sure that your standing rules kind of documents which VP is going to focus on what. If you do the structure, where an officer is going to mentor certain chairs, you want to put that in your standing rules as who's mentoring who for the year. And you really want to have any specific financial procedures in there. If it's, whenever you count money, okay, some units, it's super important that if there's money, the treasurer must be there at all times. Other units, like mine, we have said a board member must be there at all times. They must be at least one of the counters. And as we know, anytime there's money involved, there's always two counters. So your standing rules, again, it's about documenting the roles for your officers, which chairs they support, financial procedures, and units will have various things in there depending on what's come up in the past or what they feel like it's important to document as far as their process. Standing rules are kind of first reviewed by the officers, executive committee. And then once the board gets together for their first meeting, they're presented for the entire board. So officers and chairs to vote, because they really set the protocols for how all 10 to 12 of you on the board will be relating to each other during the year. Okay, the fourth one, hopefully within your PTA budget, you have funds to attend the Florida PTA Leadership Conference. This is a wonderful event, and in a couple of slides, we'll talk more in detail about what it entails and how to register. But if anyone is new to being an officer, this is a highly recommend. In addition to getting upskilled in person about Florida PTA protocol, it's a really good team building. And so you will get to meet other people who also love PTA, hear how other units PTA, and make some really good friendships. And that's just me personally. So, and then as the executive committee now looks to expand their PTA and move into the year, there's 3 meetings that we recommend occur over the summer. You need to have a meet and greet with your principal and or the administrator who will sit on your board. We would highly recommend a brainstorming meeting, which we'll talk about in a minute, and then a more formal first board meeting so that you are prepared to have that general meeting in August. Okay, so let's move on to talk about brainstorming. So some PTAs I talk to have they've got a really stable calendar of events from year to year. And for some it's stable because it works like that. For others, they kind of wish, how do we consider doing something different? Okay. So regardless of which boat you're in, I think a brainstorming meeting is a wonderful thing to just take a temperature check to make sure that everyone on the board is really in the same boat as far as the type of year we want to have. And when we spend this time to just kind of get to know each other and lay all our cards on the table, it really is going to enable you guys to have such a great drama-free, focused year. So, and this is something I'm working on with my unit right now, trying to plan a time when all 12 of us can get together for an evening. That in and of itself, is a feat. And really recommend doing this in person if possible. And the first thing the officers need to consider is the tone for the event. This is a wonderful time over the summer to make it a little fun, make it social. Go to someone's house, go to a park, go to a restaurant if you have older kids. Decide if the kids are welcome. Maybe someone has a great big pool and y'all are gonna shove the kids, let them have some fun while you meet. Maybe it's no kids and you're like, no, we just want adults, get to know each other, hang out time. Some things that we're going to do at this event, this is going to kind of start to build your culture for the year, right? So this is your first opportunity to make everyone on the board, included and seen. So Secretary is going to be a big part of making sure that we collect all, not just the contact info. Highly recommend every board member has a name tag. Nothing makes someone feel like a member of the team faster than a name tag that says your PTA and their name on it. Some units do shirts. Sometimes they'll buy the teachers' themed shirts for the year. And I highly recommend, if there's money in the budget, that the board each get one of those shirts as well. And you'll want to align on communication. You know, are you guys going to use WhatsApp, texts? I feel like some of you use Slack. It really doesn't matter how you're communicating to each other, as long as you're communicating to each other and everybody has equal access to whatever method you pick. All right, so now let's go to the vision part. This meeting is really to nope, come back, Stephen. So when you're brainstorming, this is just a time to have fun. If you can bring flip chart paper, it's a time for flip charts. You don't need flip chart paper. Secretary, just be ready to write down the ideas as they flow. This agenda is a little less formal because the main idea is just everyone meeting each other and to get down ideas. No ideas are bad, okay? I'll let the treasurers learn about the rules. Not that they're bad, it's just, you know, not recommended. But this is the part where we want people to get excited. Some activity I've used in the past, it's called stop, start, and keep. So probably the most discernment I do is if people are really passionate about something that they don't like from past years that maybe they want to consider not doing again, you want to note that. If there's a lot of energy behind a particularly new idea, not just from one person, but from maybe multiple persons on the board, that's something you might want to consider starting. And then keep is, of course, maybe things you've done in the past or multiple years that there's a lot of energy that, you know, it's really important for the whole board to keep those. So all of that, the reason we're doing this is because the information from this social informal meeting is going to get you to propose a calendar of events. Okay. You need the calendar of events to draft a budget because we need to make sure the budget is supporting what your PTA wants to do next year. And then after this meeting, you need to authorize whoever you need to authorize to order those name tags and shirts and other expenses over the summer. Because as those of us know, if we're doing t-shirt orders or anything for welcome back, we've got to be authorized and order those things over the summer. Okay, on to July. Stephen, there we go. Okay. So now we've done all the brainstorming. Now it's time to hit the ground running. So this slide is really for our treasurers. Okay, treasurers. Starting July 1st, you need to do your audit. Okay, the audit is auditing all of the treasurer records, the treasurer binders from this most recent year. So hopefully you all have your audit committee of 3 folks. And if you are going to leadership convention, you need to do this before you go, okay? Especially if you need to change your bank signers, because you want to be able to have bank cards and spend money to pay for your hotel room at leadership convention. So y'all plan on doing that audit the first week in July if you can, and as soon as possible. Once it's done, your outgoing treasurer is the one who needs to call the bank and make the appointment to change the bank signers, okay? Each bank can be a little different. If any of you have any questions or are nervous, just reach out to us. Because, you know, whether you're Truist, Wells Fargo, Fairwinds, whoever you are, okay? Talk to your banker, find out specifically what they need to change those bank signers. They're going to want a copy of minutes listing the bank signers, maybe listing the officers, and they might need everybody there, current and former, but they might not. So that is something that the treasurer from the outgoing year handles. and is clutch to get you started for next year. The other thing that is happening in June is you need to convene your budget committee. It is led by the incoming treasurer. President is typically there with officers and any board members who want to go. This is where you're going to refer to that proposed calendar of events. Okay, that's why that brainstorming meeting is so important, because then you already have buy-in for this proposed calendar. And of course, you want to refer to last year's income. How did you do? Do you need more income? Do you not need more income? Okay. We should only be bringing in income that we need to run our programs. Okay. If you've got a school that kills itself to run $30,000 fundraisers, please ask yourself, why are you doing that? You know, if you need that money to run programs that advocate and help build programs for families and parents, then by all means do it. But if you're doing it, here comes one of my personal passions. If you're doing it so you can treat the teachers to death, maybe we let up on the fundraising a little bit and try to focus on how we're providing value to our entire school community. Not that we don't love our teachers, we absolutely do. But let's go on to the next slide to talk a little bit about recommended budget. There it is. So this is actually from Florida PTA. Florida PTA recommends that we spend 10% or less of our budget on faculty and staff appreciation. 10% or less. Our advice, we need to get to 20% or less on teacher appreciation. Some of us call it hospitality, but it's those treat cards, those monthly treats. Again, we should thank them. They are amazing. However, it is not PTA's responsibility to create a good culture at that school. That is the principal's responsibility. So while we are there to thank, we are there to appreciate, we can even do some things every month. Our focus is on advocating for the educational environment for our students and helping our parents and our families. So that said, make sure you always have a 10% contingency. You never know what's going to happen, like COVID. I mean, come on, we all saw what could happen. Make sure you guys budget for some administrative things. What every unit puts in there is a little different. So just make sure that those things you can make some copies if you need to make some posters. Don't forget to put paying Florida and PTA national dues in there. And there's also some county dues. We need a little bit of your support to make sure we can keep hosting these Zoom trainings and live trainings to make sure you guys have what you need. But the bulk, we're aiming for 50% of your budget is on programs. Things that you are doing to engage parents, things you are doing to help engage families. That can be anything from helping with tech. Tech is so scary. It can be educational programs for grade levels during the day, if that's something the school is open to. I actually would throw spirit wear in there, especially at middle and high school levels. A big way PTAs contribute is by contributing to that school spirit. So there's a lot of things that can go into programs, but the emphasis there is not giving treats to the teachers. We can do some of that, but the focus is on families and students. And please budget 10, maybe 20% so that you can get at least 2 people coming to not just summer leadership convention, but there is a legislative conference in winter. And I don't think a lot of us realize, I didn't realize, that the way the schools operate is not up to the schools. It's up to the Florida state legislature. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, please budget money to go to legislative conference next winter. All right, I think that's it. I think I just have one more slide about, yep, here it is. So events like Legislative Conference and like the Leadership Conference this summer are organized and coordinated by National and Florida PTA. So treasurers, when you're budgeting, national dues are going to go up by $1 per person July 1st. Okay. So however many number of members you're thinking you're going to get next year, multiply that times 450, and that is the expense that goes towards national and Florida PTA. Okay. I know it's kind of hard because I was one that was like, why are we paying them? Because we're doing all the work at the school. But here's the truth. They're doing a lot of things for us. And if we don't know what they're doing, we need to get on it and figure out what those things are. Like Steven's pointing to. So many of the things happening in our school are because of the legislation happening at the national and state level. And so we need to consider how we can be more knowledgeable, aware, and involved in that. National PTA particularly gives out a lot of national grant money. In the fall, or even now, you can go look at the National PTA website. They will give you $1,000 or more to implement a program that they have already written, whether it's on technology, internet, health, mental health. Those are things, that's a way that we can get this 450 per person back when we go out and get those national PTA grants. And the Reflections program. You know, we mentioned that earlier. You all met Leslie. It's a wonderful arts. It's not a competition. I'll let Leslie talk about that in her session. It is a program about excellence in the arts. And that's what that money goes towards. This is important. We need, of course, we're all paying our dues, right, to nationals in Florida in the givebacks. But you need to pay them all by June 30th. Because if we haven't paid for all of this year and July 1st happens, they're going to get charged the new rate. So that's your official notice. And then just again, a shout out for us at the county. All we ask is $70. It is required that you pay it, so it's not really asking. It's part of keeping in compliance with your nonprofit status. So we can do programs like this and trainings. And then something, my spelling is atrocious. It's not mascot games, it's mascot games. Haha. Hopefully you guys heard about that. We do a countywide scholarship, and that's how we raise the money. It's a chance for you to bring out your school mascots. It's a chance for parents to play games, lighthearted competition, and we really bring out the whole community. We bring out all the sponsors, we bring out all the nonprofit business partners, and that will have a $250 entry team fee. So we're just trying to be upfront as you plan your budgets. If you want to participate in some of these big events and you want to consider mascot games for sure, we want you to be able to budget. So I think that's it for me. Oh, just kidding. The most important slide. Yeah. Stephen, you want to talk about it?
Yeah, I can, and with your assistance, of course. But thank you. That was beautiful, going through all that information. But guys, we cannot. I'm trying to put into words how incredible this convention is. I had the honor of going last year. And it really does open your mind to all the things that Amy just described, right? And touches on the things that I talked about as far as your responsibilities and duties in your roles. It's a great opportunity to network, have fun. I think as a county, we were truly the leaders. And you even heard earlier this morning, right, how a lot of the Seminole County people that were previously in the PTA, Missa Mills, and so there's folks who are right here in the county right now making an impact, and then moving up to, that's the name I was looking for, Katie, moving into Florida PTA. And so you're going to see a lot of these same individuals who started just where you are, but come out and see what the leadership convention's all about. You can see on screen there the breakdown of the cost for the event, registration, the various luncheons that they have for awards that are going to be given out from Florida PTA. The dates to pay attention to. The event is going to be July 10th through July 13th. Okay, so it's multi-days of learning, celebration, and having fun. And you get to meet with not just our local units, you're going to meet with units all over the state. So Broward County, Hillsborough County, who are national PTA award winners. Like, I want to talk to those folks, right? I want to know what they're doing in their county that we can pull back into our county and help our students and families, right? So lots of great opportunities. And what I really want to make sure you all are aware of, and you should have received emails from somebody within this leadership team, the PTSA, student registration. It's only $25, and that's for all 3 days for you to bring your middle and high school students. They're actually going to have, yeah, there it is, the Florida Student Committee. Yep. So Whitney put it in the chat. So her son is actually part of the committee and definitely is going to be a future leader because he's gaining all these skills for service, right? And learning how to manage and run meetings. And guys, it's a great opportunity. So please share the word. You know, all of you that are going to be middle school and high school leaders, whether you're the president or the secretary, make sure that you go to the website here, register, get information specific to the student led convention that's also going to take place during that time. It's going to be a great opportunity. So once my kids are old enough, they're definitely going because it's going to be a great opportunity for them to learn. And, you know, again, they're going to be future leaders. So if they have opportunities like this, they should, you know, again, go towards it, right? Like have the opportunities to do it. And again, this is just tie this back. So, and then I'll let Yadi have her opportunity to speak. Again, when you see a dollar increase to the dues, look at what it's providing, right? All of this content, all of these things are going to help us grow as an organization. It's being put to use, right? So the money that's being put in is coming right back to you tenfold. So, you know, take the opportunities that are there, show up. We're going to be there to, you know, support you all, and it's going to be a great opportunity and a lot of fun. So, Amy, I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to add. Okay, then I will now hand the ball off to Yadi to start her presentation. I'll try to do a better job here clicking through these slides. I'll do my best.
You're good, Stephen. It's all good. So we are in the section of launching into action, and here we go. So this was Amy and Stephen. They shared a lot of information so far, so I hope you're taking it all in. We're going to be sharing these slides. That was the purpose of having this recording without interruption so that you can review this and bring a lot of this information back to your board. So take it all in, but know that you'll have reference to go back to. So managing your priorities. I think I'm a big believer in checklists. I don't know what I would do without my checklist or having my Post-it notes around, because that is how we as a unit and as a team are able to prioritize what needs to be done, what importance we have on the things that have to get done before the year is over, before the year begins. So in the kit of materials, you will be able to find a sample of a checklist that can kind of guide you. I'm sorry, one moment. I hope that dinging isn't bothering. You'll be able to find samples of a guideline of the checklist that you should be doing now, like Amy said, the beginning of July, the beginning of June, all the things that you should start working on with your officers, getting your chairs positions into place, planning for convention, making sure that you have all the things that you need for shirts. If you're going to have a shirt, your name tags, your dues that you have to start preparing for, making sure you complete your audit. That's super important because that is what's going to help you with your interim budget and then prepare for your general meeting to approve your new year's budget. And so just looking into your checklist, if you've never looked at the kit of materials checklist, I encourage you to check it out. Many units have their own personal checklist because again, we work as a big team, but we also have our individual things that we like to look at. If you ever need assistance with any of this, hopefully the position you're coming into, the person has presented you with some kind of blueprint, some kind of foundation to work with. But if you don't worry, we got you. Reach out to the county, reach out to people here that you know. I'm pretty sure someone can share a blueprint so that you can look at the things that you need to focus on. Then moving on to your positions, you have your board is going to start filling up. You're going to start meeting with each and every one from your officers to your board. And that is when you start your planning. Like Amy said, start looking into the ideas, what you want. At this point, you guys have already gone to convention. You've met so many people at convention where you were able to come back as a team, share all of the ideas that you guys received at convention, and continue to build on towards that year that you have coming forward. This is just a sample that you see here to look at how you should be presenting this meeting in July when you meet with your board and your officers and everybody's coming together. You open it up and you look for, yes, Stephen's showing you right there. If you go onto our Seminole County PTA page, we have these templates for you. We have many, many forms that you can utilize to see how to plan an agenda, look at what your agenda should be, broken down into, how to plan your general meetings, a lot of tools and tips that you could find on there so that you can have a well-organized and structured plan every time you sit down with your board. You want to be able to come together as a team, look at the things that need to be addressed, execute them, talk about them, build from there, and then close that out and move on to the next thing so that everything works smoothly and effectively. So again, you start off with your agenda, look at your start time, your end time, try to have quorum. This is the opportunity where it's important for the board to know that these meetings that happen monthly are very important. They're here for a purpose. They're here for all of us to come together and make sure that we share the things that have happened in the last month, what's coming up next. And like Stephen said, that communication is crucial. We always try to have our executive committee come together and make sure that our chairs are working on what they need to do. But when we have these monthly meetings, this is where everything is shared. This is where everyone on your team knows what is expected and what's to come. So moving on, you want to make sure that you plan to meet with your principal. Stephen mentioned it, Amy mentioned it. Be that bridge that brings together the school community and the parent community. That's what the PTA is. We are the ones that build that bridge to bring everything together. When you sit with your principals, establish a plan, look at the need of the school, listen to what people and the teachers, the staff, what they need so that you can bring that back to your team and see, okay, here's our vision. How are we going to execute this? How does this work with our mission to be there for all students and advocate for them? And then again, the consistency of bringing all that information back so that the team knows how to execute and continue to work towards the school year. At these board meetings, invite your principals. It is very important that your principals know that they can come to these board meetings. They can put them in your agenda so that they can have the floor, so that they can also share about all of the important things that are happening at the school. What's going to be, some of the changes that are going on? What are the ideas and the focus that the school admin has for the new school year? And all those things are super important for your board, because that's what's going to help you build on what you guys are going to execute for that year. And like Steven said, don't sugarcoat things. Transparency is the best way to go about these things. Be honest with your principal. Let them know, maybe last year it wasn't a great year and you guys had to make some adjustments, and the committee came together and they have a new strategy looking forward to the new school year. Be open and honest with the principal. Let them know what your plans are, if there will be changes. Let them know some ideas that you want to bring into, because all of that is going to be helpful when you work together and you guys sit down and you come up with that plan. You incorporate your calendars together, and that communication is so important because everyone's on the same page. Everyone knows what's happening next. Everyone knows what to look forward to, how we're going to work together and incorporate the ideas that the principal has and what she would like to see for the school, and what the PTA has and what they would like to bring for the school. So transparency, being honest, open communication, that's always important. And then we go on to our, hopefully by this time, you've had your meetings, you've met with your principals, everyone is ready with their capes on to go into action to execute all that you guys have planned. When you met with your principal, you want to also try to get from your calendar from August to December plugged in, because this is going to be first general meeting and you present this to your membership. You want to be able to show them that your team, you guys are ready. You have a plan. You've executed everything that you've needed to do throughout the summer, so that when you present this to your general public and in that general meeting, they can see the vision also. They can also see what you guys have planned and be on the same board with you guys. Again, this is just a template so that you guys can see how that first general meeting is presented. I think everyone knows that the first general meeting is very important for the main focus of approving your budget. You have your interim budget that you're going to be working with, throughout the summer to get convention and all those little details. But your budget for the new school year is basically at the top of the list of the priority, so that once you have that vote in and the general public approves it, you guys can officially begin all the wonderful planning that you have for that school year. Share those ideas with your membership so that they can also fully understand where the money is going. You always want to be transparent with with the general public, and you want to have your reports done so that they can see this is where the money's going to go. This is what your support and everything that's coming in, this is what it's going to do for our school. This is how it's going to support all of our students. What else do I have here on my notes? Also, membership. Be very mindful during this time of your planning between July and August. All of those chair positions that you have that are going to be happening early on in the beginning of the school year, whether it's membership, whether it's your welcome back committee, whether it's your meet the teacher committee, try to make sure that all those things are established and set, so that by the time you've reached your first general meeting, your parents, your families, your membership, they know what's happening. They've already seen you. Your face has been shown. They already know that you have a membership, plan going, and that everyone is ready to hit those numbers, and the importance of why you should be joining the PTA, and how each and every member is so valued in whatever way possible they can help. And then executing that first meet the teacher and your welcome back breakfasts, that's where you get your staff. Let your staff know what is your plan, what is your vision for that school year, and let them know how important it is for them to also be a part of the PTA, and how you guys can work together for the mission. And like Karen mentioned, your dividend breakfasts, those are super important during this time as well, so that everyone knows how important it is for the school and for the PTA to have those dividends involved. So make sure that you want to get all of that in there so that you can present that at your first general meeting. And then moving on, we have, next slide. Oh, there we go. So your resources. Well, I know we have this up here, and I'll just take like a little parentheses in here. This is the breakdown of our, basically, Stephen had a wonderful idea because, like he said, we always want to be able to support each of our units, but not everything can go to our president, which is why he has an incredible team here to support him. And you have Stephen as your president. You have Heather. She is our, well, this is a little bit mixed up, but we're going to be fixing all of this up. Heather's our new treasurer, and Amy is your VP1. I am your VP2, and Alicia is our secretary. She's going to be there to support you. So if you look at this breakdown, we have it broken down where it's your north, your northwest, southwest, southeast, and central schools. For the most part, this is going to be staying the same. There might be a slight few changes, so be on the lookout. We will be sending out an email, each of us, to our district, introducing ourselves, letting you guys know that we're here for you, that we're that, door of communication. If you have questions, if you need help with anything, this is what we're here for. And we are always here to help you. We're always available to be there to support you. So if you leave today with one thing that you remember, you're not alone. We're here to support you. You have people on this call. I think we're at 58 people on this call that are there to support you and to help you. Use that as another resource. You have, like I shared, we had the kit of materials. Take your time to read it, look into it, take a look at all the little things that are in there, because consider it your Bible for PTA, I would say. It's where you're going to find so much information. When in doubt, go to the Florida PTA kit of materials. And then you have your Seminole County Council. You have us. This is what we're here for. We have, this year, we established our WhatsApp group, and it has worked so wonderfully to be there. If you have a question, you go into that group, in that leadership group, and you ask your questions, and everyone is in there seeing the question that is being asked and be able to answer these questions for you in a safe space versus being on social media. We still have our Facebook page. We still have that platform as well, but we've also presented another avenue of communication, which is our WhatsApp. So I encourage you to join that. And then you have your representatives. You have each and every one of us here ready to help you, to support you in any way possible. And your Florida PTA, also go on that website, because that's where you're going to find a lot of the information in there about compliance, your tax exemption forms, your 501(c) determination letter, all of those things that you need so that your PTA can work effectively and be productive throughout this school year. And then don't forget your PTA the grant information. I know Amy spoke a little bit about that. And as the year goes on, we're going to have our grants chair presenting at our next general meeting, so you can see all the great opportunities that you have with that. And I think that is it on my slides. There we go. How did we do? I'm going to pass it over to Stephen.
All right. Thank you, Yadi. That was absolutely fantastic. I get excited when I hear about all this, the different trainings and the different things that we have in place, because I know when I was in y'all's position, this is exactly what I wanted from county, right? I wanted direction. I wanted to know where to go. I wanted to get excited. And so hopefully we did that for you all today. So just to recap, we talked about, again, assembling your league of heroes, understanding the structure, responsibilities of your PTA executive committee, board of directors, and membership. I led the way there. And then secondly, we had Amy talk through our mission briefing, right? Again, understanding the vision, brainstorming, really having those conversations and setting the stage for having an effective year. And then we followed up by launching it into action, right? Yadi did a beautiful job, laying down the blueprint, right? What's the instructions we should follow? Well, guess what? There's a ton of resources out there for you guys. And one of the things that as part of my coaching, I tell people, you're not on an island, right? You're not by yourself. You don't have to do it alone. I love the imagery that Yadi provided. We're a bridge. So think of us county. We're a bridge for you all to have that bridge to your schools. So we're here for you. We're here to support you. And that's what that's our mission, right? As part of our mission for county is to support all of you uh, in your endeavors within your PTAs. So with that, let me go to the next slide here. Okay. So please remember, this is kind of my personal mantra. I've been trying to get it out more when I can, but and it's not that all heroes wear capes. That is true. Not all heroes wear capes, because each one of you on this call are heroes, and people that weren't able to be on the call, they're working, as heroes as well. And we recognize and see the work that you are doing, seen and unseen. But one thing I want you all to remember, again, you don't have to be the best, right? Do the best. I'm not the best clicker here, as you can see, right? But I did the best I can. And we're at the point now where, we're hopeful that you all got some really good, valuable information that you can take forward to, your leaders and membership, and, leverage it for yourselves as well. Right? There's a lot of good information and a lot that you all can do to make a difference in your community. So with that, again, thank you for listening to us. Again, here's our website. We also have email addresses, so if any of you need to email us, but the WhatsApp chat, Seminole PTA Leaders chat, that is an absolutely fantastic chat. Which, again, as Yadi alluded to, that's a great way to get your questions answered in a safe space. And if you could, I believe the QR code works. So scan the QR code, select this class, right? So the PTA Power Up, Level Up Your Leadership, select that class. And, again, it's a survey. So we're looking for feedback as well. That's one of the things that we talked about. We want to ensure that as, county, we are serving you all, right? And where you all feel like you need assistance, we want to be there to do that, but we need your feedback. Okay. So take a moment to scan and fill out that survey. And with that, I guess I'll leave this up for now, but I'll hand it off to Amy if you want to kind of maybe give us the next order of events while people are doing that.
Yeah. So Stephen, if you want to go ahead and stop the recording.
I shall.
Give him a second.